I want you to guess. Okay, so first of all, I ask you to guess something. I want to dedicate this to the refuah of my friend's father, who's Zad Hashem, it should be better. Chaim Yosef Zev Ben Fega. This is dedicated. Yeah, this is to refuah.
Say his name again.
What?
Say his name again.
Chaim Yosef Zev Ben Fega.
I know Ben Fega. Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
So I want you to guess what I was listening to right when you called me. What song I was listening to?
Damn, that's.
You probably will never. Okay, I'm gonna give you a hint. It's a Hispanic male singer. His name is not Ricky Martin.
Enrique Iglesias?
No.
Julio Iglesias?
No.
He's a Hispanic singer, and his name is not Ricky Martin.
Not Ricky Martin. I guess you could say he's like Miami, Cuba kind of deal.
We're not talking about Mark Anthony, right?
No. But he used to write songs for Gloria Estefan, and he's one of these guys that he had a couple of songs. This is back when you and I were let's say coming of age kind of thing. I mean, at least I remember I was in summer camp, Russian Jewish summer camp or Russian summer camp in the Poconos, and I remember being the whole puppy love thing.
Are we talking about Rico Suave?
No. It was more kind of sentimental stuff that he sang. You probably will never guess.
All right, hold on. One more guess. I feel like I'm getting closer. If it's not Rico Suave,
no.
Is it? And it's not Ricky Martin. No, I don't know why.
No,
I wouldn't even think of Ricky
Martin. We're talking like 1992, 91, 92, that kind of deal.
What does he look like?
He's darker. He has he kind of has nappy. I hate to say kind of more blackish features, but he's not black. Okay. He's it's like that. It's like the comedian. It's like I know black. He's talking about the what's his name, Godfrey. He's like, yeah, I went to Dominican Republic. He's like all these black Dominicans. Like I know black. He's like, dude, you're darker than me, and I'm Nigerian. I know black. I'm Dominican. I know black.
That's what they're like, by the way.
I know. So this guy's Cuban. He is not black actually. He was more fairer skinned, but.
All right, who is it? I can't.
Do you remember John Cicada?
Yeah. Oh man.
Yeah.
He's like
I was listening. Right? Yeah, I was listening to that. I don't know why. I started I was going through this whole list.
Make it through the day.
Dude, that song. I'll tell you that song. Every time I hear that song, there's a specific. I'm telling you, a very specific moment where I'm literally being removed from physically removed from summer camp, and I'm in the back of my parents' car. They had my dad. I remember had he had this pristine 1985 Buick LeSabre station wagon.
Nice.
And it was this. So we're talking this is a 6-year-old car at the time. So I'm in the back of his car, and I hear this song, and I'm just thinking of this girl that I liked in camp, kind of deal. And and that's it. And there's no cell phones, there's no internet, there's no I can't hit her up on Instagram. I can't hit her up. So this is all the people listening to you have you date somebody or you meet somebody and now you could just hit them up on social media, you can slide in their DMs. Yo, if we met somebody somewhere, back in our when we were 12, 13, there's a chance we may never see them again.
Yeah.
Unless we figured out how to finagle that.
Yeah, when you're a kid, possibly bumping into the girl that you like, it was a huge deal.
Yeah, it was your heart jumped out of your body. I was oh my god, I didn't see this girl since the summer, and And it's one of those things. Actually, I've had that where it's like it could be a huge letdown a few months or like a year or two later, or it could be like, you know, you could like revisit something great. And yeah, I mean, I guess it falls in line with what we were talking about, the whole like the magic thing, you know, that era.
Yeah, man.
Because I feel like now it's like, I don't know, I can't imagine. I was thinking about like, I can't imagine being like 12 or 13 now and like meeting some girl and like, oh, whoop-de-doo. It's like, and I find her on Instagram and she's all over Instagram, TikTok, and Facebook, and like everybody sees her, you know.
Yeah, every girl is a tot.
Yeah, thought. Yeah, that. Yeah.
Tot. Is it TOT?
THOT. Yeah, that hole over there.
Oh, that's what it means.
Yeah, that hole over there.
I was thinking like a tot. You know,
no.
I thought it was something completely
different.
I thought it was like
being a
baby. I thought it had some kind of baby.
I mean, they are giant babies. That's why they behave that way. But it's
you know, like they make the duck faces, like the little baby faces,
well,
right?
You know, that's
wow.
That hole over there. That's what it is.
Dude, I created my entire own like back history to this tot word, which I couldn't even get.
No,
right.
You're probably right.
I didn't even know how to say it right.
You're probably right.
TOT. That's what I thought.
No, it's THOT.
You know, like Toys for Tots? That's what I thought.
Yeah. No, it's not Toys for Tots. It's not Cars for Kids. It's
that whole. My thing is better than that hole over there. What the fuck? Everybody should switch to my thing.
Yeah, we could. But in any event, that's what they are today. So it's like I'm grateful. It's funny because like, yeah,
it's like yeah. Remember Blake? I interrupted you on purpose because I'm okay. And no, I don't care about what you were going to say. I'm just kidding. But I'm not though. But I am. But I'm not. But I was going to say, remember Blades of Glory?
Yeah.
That's the one with Will Ferrell, right? The ice skating movie.
Hold on. Yeah. 2007.
He's like it's mind bottling. He's like bottling. He goes, yeah. It's like when your thoughts get all jammed up in your head like a bottle. Right? And he's like, and this victory was as sweet as the cream after which the town was named. You know, Boston cream.
Yeah.
Like that's what I'm like. I just come up with my own shit.
Oh man. So what the hell did we want to talk? We wanted to talk about. You mentioned like what's his face?
Billy Idol.
Billy Idol, and we.
It's all about the positive side of chaos.
Yeah.
Right. Well, this is what I think based on stuff I learned.
Is it positive side or positive like outcomes?
It's that. Remember we were talking about that sweet spot between chaos and rectification.
Mm-hmm.
The world of chaos and the world of rectification. The world of chaos, pure, just unadulterated. I don't even know what that means, unadulterated. Yeah. But you know what I'm saying. You know how people use the word.
Yeah.
Just crazy, just out of control, like energy, right? And the world of rectification is like no energy. It's like sterile. It's like it's like everything is like it's like a museum. You go over somebody's house and it's like nothing. It looks like a catalog. It's like nothing's been used.
Yeah.
Right. Mm-hmm. So we got to find that sweet spot where we take that energy, because it's really about that energy. It's about experiencing that energy, but in a consistent way. Yeah. It's not about toning it down. It's about channeling it where it doesn't destroy whatever it's being channeled through.
Yeah.
It's about like it's like the difference between having an intense moment, having an eternity of intensity.
I noticed like that Chabad are very good at that. Well, for the most part, they're good at that sweet spot, that balance. And I noticed that, well, depending on who you speak to, but I noticed that like, this whole kind of cure of world. I hate to bring it back to that. you know, I'm doing, I have to do my best to, you know, so people have like achdut, you know, like unity, but at the same time, it's like, you know, like it's what it's what I've
noticed. Real achdut is?
What?
Go ahead. I'm sorry. What did you say?
No, I'm saying it's something I've noticed, that it's like there's
we got to talk about achdut, because this is number 13, right?
Yeah. Yeah, by the way, this is number 13. This is a chad. This is yeah.
Chad, achdut, right? 13, the 13 principles of mercy, the 13 principles of faith, which is very, very important.
Yeah.
I think that we should. How about this? Why don't we? Would it be okay with you if I were to read the 13 principles of the Jewish faith? Like, what is?
Please do that. And when you get to the last one, which is Tchiyat HaMeitim, I really want you to like dig into some of these Jews who basically like seemingly believe in the first 12, but then that whole 13th they really have trouble with. It seems like to me. And
it seems to listen. A lot of people have trouble with it because, like, where the hell is he?
Yeah. Well, not only that, you know, I have a friend who's a teacher in Machon Meir, in the Rav Kook, you know, the Anglo yeshiva, and he has an interesting spiel that he gives. He says, you know, if I came to a rabbi somewhere in Poland or Iraq, it doesn't matter where, in the 1800s or in the like even 1700s, and I told him that in the not so distant future there's going to be a government in the land of Israel. There's going to be basically a country, and it's going to be like millions of Jews living there, and an army, and a government, and an economy, and all these things, and you know, Jerusalem's going to become the Torah capital of the world again. He said this rabbi would believe me, but the only reason he would believe me is because he has a mitzvah to believe me. It would be like an act of faith. It would be like as if it would be the same thing as if I told you today that the dead are going to rise. The only reason you would believe me, if you believe me, is because you have a mitzvah to believe me. You have to make it's an act of emunah.
Yeah, I mean that is that.
So then he says we live in a generation where faith meets reality, where emunah meets reality. So now the question is, you know, are we going to see something like that?
So I asked my rabbi on Tuesday.
Who's your rabbi?
He's a Chabad Shliach in New Orleans.
Mm-hmm.
And Rabbi Rifkin. Mm-hmm. And so I asked him, and I asked him this periodically. Mm-hmm. I was like, Rabbi, when you speak to people, how many people do you talk to, right? Mm-hmm. And when they talk about Mashiach, they talk about it as if, like, it's real. You know what I mean? Like, they're not just repeating. Yeah. We're not just repeating things that we hear and things that we're supposed to say and, you know, intelligent rhetoric and talking points. But, like, do you ever, like, speak to a person, right? And just be like, you know, kind of like, so, you know, what's going on? When is this going to happen already? Like, you know, we're actually waiting for this. Yeah. You know how, like, you see somebody who's been waiting for the bus for a long time?
Yeah.
And it's like, oh, you know, they kind of just keep looking towards the direction the bus is supposed to be coming.
Yeah.
And it's like, you know, they're rolling their eyes like, oh my God, I just smoked like 3 cigarettes. The bus didn't show up yet.
Yeah.
You know, usually you smoke 1 cigarette and the bus shows up.
Yeah.
That's what I'm talking about. Like, even that. Like, is there anybody who is literally, physically, seriously, legitimately waiting? And I'm still asking that question. And I'm not satisfied with what I've been hearing.
Yeah. Lame answers. Very lame. Even from the people who are bringing sources and all these kind of things. It's
I don't know what it is. It's like there's some kind of, like, you know how, like, Aristotle had some kind of, like, he described the world of like geometric shapes.
Yeah.
Of there's like a realm of a dimension where you have the perfection of form. Mm-hmm. Right? You have, like, the perfect circle. the transcendental circle, where pi is realized, right?
Yeah.
And things of that nature. But we can't reach that. That's not like attainable for us in our world, but it's like there's like a parallel world that's like just touching us, you know? Yeah. That's where things like that happen.
Yeah.
I get the feeling that that's how people, not consciously, but that's kind of like what they feel about Mashiach. Like Mashiach, you know, he comes in this world of concepts.
Yeah.
That's where he exists. That's where he's going to come.
Yeah.
You know, some conceptual world. It might be real, but it's not in our experience. Fuck that.
Yeah.
When is the dude showing up? The dude with the feet.
It's like we keep hearing about, you know, from like kind of the Rav Kook community that, you know, Mashiach's may not even be a person. It's just like a
what?
No, like a state.
Explain that.
It's a process and whatever, or it's both. First the process.
Sounds like people who live who don't have they don't have good information.
I know. Well, they say that, you know, Mashiach's not going to, you know, a lot of them say like Mashiach's not going to be like a Santa Claus figure or whatever it is, that kind of thing.
You know what's funny to me? Right? You know, I could be wrong. Obviously, it's just what I think.
Yeah.
That, in my view, the guy who represents, the guy who is the world expert, or would be the source for Mashiach information.
Yeah.
Like, think about Lahavdil Smithers from Simpsons, right?
Excellent Smithers.
If you want to know about Malibu Stacy, you're gonna want to go talk to Smithers, right?
Yeah.
You're gonna want to go talk to the guy obsessed with. He knows everything. He knows every detail about every decision about Malibu Stacy ever made. He knows when it started. He knows the motivation behind the people. He's interviewed everybody, collected every piece of document. There's people like this.
Yeah.
We call them weirdos.
Yeah.
Okay. So, but other people call them scholars or experts.
Some of them are DJs. They remember.
Some of them are DJs. Yeah. Okay. So there's you got to go talk to the guys who are the hub of this particular topic.
Yeah.
Okay, you want to go talk to guys who like to go watch trains.
Yeah.
You know, like Train Watchers. There's like a movie about that. It was about the station agent.
Yeah.
Right. With that dude from short dude from Game of Thrones.
Yeah. Oh my God. Huh.
Dinklage. I think he was the main guy. He was the main character in that movie. It was a good movie, actually.
And then you have George Carlin and Thomas the Tank Engine. Thomas.
What is that?
That was like a kid's. That was a kid.
No, I know what Thomas the Tank Engine is, but what is George Carlin's connection to it?
George Carlin was a conductor. He played the conductor in a kids show.
Oh my God! Really?
Yeah, it's crazy. That's actually how I first saw him, and then I saw him on stand up, and I'm like, is that the guy from this freaking?
Dude, can I do you one crazier than that?
Yeah.
Do you remember Steam Pipe Alley with Mario Cantone?
Yes, I do.
Nobody remembers that.
I remember that only because it was filmed in Secaucus, New Jersey.
It certainly looked like Secaucus, New Jersey.
Its mom probably smelled like it too. Oh yeah, this is before like they built, you know, a nice mall.
The factory outlets.
Yeah, outlets and you know, whatever, the train station, you know, New Jersey Transit, whatever.
Secaucus, New Jersey is where I came into contact with the concept of feeling truly empty from materialism. You spend like an entire afternoon, you know, walking around the outlets, and you got bags full of Calvin Klein jeans, and you know, Armani. This is before Armani changed. This is Emporio Armani.
You have that big X going across your.
No, torso. This is way before that. I'm talking about Emporio Armani.
Like Nautica.
You know, like Yeah. So, and you get these things that you think are like, you want them so bad, and then you there's just like icky, to borrow a word from my wife. Emptiness.
I remember I went to Woodbury Commons once. This was with my family, and then like our family friends and their son, and like people were throwing poop fits over these Nautica sweaters.
Yeah.
It was crazy, dude.
Yeah.
It was like kids were like crying because they couldn't get a sweater, Nautica sweater. I was like, yo.
Status symbol.
Out of control.
JanSports strings.
Oh my god.
Starter jackets.
Oh my god. The starter hat, the starter jacket.
Pumps. Then Columbia. Remember Columbia took over the starter.
Columbia jackets, forget it. It was like that was expensive. Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
No, but the starter hat. Remember the commercial? And then you twist the hat. And then you turn the hat.
No. I don't remember that.
It was a commercial with Jazzy Jeff. DJ Jazzy Jeff. You know, what's it hit for?
Yeah, I know Jazzy.
So he was in that commercial. Him and like one of these basketball players. Or football. Maybe Bo Jackson or something like that.
Why did Uncle Phil always throw him out of the house?
Because he could.
That seemed unnecessary.
Because he was, causing ruckus. He's from.
It wasn't that bad.
He was like the ghetto guy, and then Uncle Phil's like.
But not that. He was ghetto, but he wasn't a gangster. He was just,
Yeah,
he was mildly entertaining. He wasn't that bad.
No, but you have to understand, Uncle Phil was the guy who like got out of Philly, and he like wanted to go as far away from that as possible. And he's like, just when I finally got to, Beverly Hills or Bel Air or whatever, and then this guy shows up, this freaking raggedy, grimy, but
they dehumanized my man Jazzy Jeff, and I don't like it.
Oh, he was turned into like an NPC, a non-player character. Not sure.
Dude. By the way, in my top 10 broads. Right, growing up.
Oh, Hillary, what's her face?
Hillary, are you kidding me? What the hell, man? Yo, Hillary, by the way, looks Jewish. She looks like a hot Jewish woman.
She looks like she was. Yeah, there was some. It's like a Jewish, one of those slave owner guys came up. It's like, oh, you got any?
No.
He said, you got any Jew in you? Do you want some? That kind of thing,
Dude, there was more like black dudes that own Jewish slaves than the other way around.
Yeah,
I'm sick of hearing that Farrakhan bullshit.
It sounds like there was a song from Brooklyn Funk Essentials. It's called "I Got Cash." So there's a line in that song. He's like a black guy. So he's like, my great grandfather sold European slaves in Africa, like white slaves in Africa.
Dude, do you know that there were an equal amount of Irish slaves,
correct,
to African slaves,
correct?
And how come? And why didn't that continue? Because they didn't value the Irish slaves enough to keep them alive. They let them drop dead in the field.
Yeah, because
the black slaves they bred them because they were too valuable.
Dude, that's how. Why do you think the guys that we see today? Anybody will tell you. Even Farrakhan will tell you this, that the guys we see today playing in the NFL, that's like a product of that.
That's what I learned that from Chris Rock actually.
Yeah, and who taught you Octagon? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, what happened to Chris Rock though, man?
Who taught you Octagon?
Chris Rock was he was very bitter, talking about that. Not because he was bitter about like the injustice, but because he didn't get any of that.
Yeah.
Physical prowess.
He was left out of that. He was left out of that genetic experiment, unfortunately for him.
Right.
That's why he got to come into the chicken shop and go, let me get one rib. He's like, can I get a half a soda? He's like, I got 10 cents. What can I get for that? A sip? Can I get a sip? One rib and a sip. Oh my God.
I don't like Dave Chappelle, but there's this one routine, right?
Yeah.
Where he was like, he goes, racism, it's not, when I was in the South, it's not like how you think. It just kind of snuck up on you. It's like kind of matter of fact,
Yeah.
I went into a chicken place, right? and I went to a restaurant. It was a restaurant, and I said, let me take a look. And the guy behind the counter was like, come on, buddy. We both know what you want. we both know what you want to order, right? It ain't no secret around here that black people and chickens is very fond of one another.
Yeah. Oh man, this is gonna. I don't know if we could even post any of this. This is terrible.
Why, man?
I'm kidding.
Why?
I'm kidding.
Man,
I probably will. I don't care. One of our top viewers is black, so I don't give a
dude. This routine that I've just described is on YouTube. It's been on YouTube for like 20 years. So we're gonna get canned for talking about it.
But you ain't black. That's the point. But anyway,
how do they know? I identify. I might be identifying as black.
In the words of Joe Biden, you ain't black.
Yeah, but how do they know? Maybe I identify as black.
Maybe you, maybe you're, maybe you're like John Cicada.
I might be like John Cicada. Okay. I'm definitely identify as black more than Dominicans do.
That's true. I know black.
So
he goes. He's like, I'm here in the supermarket in Santo Domingo, and he's holding up a plátano. He's like, if you eat any one of these things, a plátano, banana, plantain, whatever. He's like, you are African. You are black. He's like, these guys get upset at me.
Dude, one day I got to tell you about my unfortunate Dominican experience in Dominican Republic. I mean,
oh no.
One day it is not. Well, okay. Let me just say, I did not fornicate with any prostitutes. I'm a spoiler alert. Okay, so if anybody is thinking that it's going that way, it's not. All right.
God. I did not have sexual relations.
And I didn't.
Anyway, so we were talking about the balance.
No, hold on a second. We're gonna get to that. Let's reverse engineer this. It went off the rails a little bit. But I'm trying to remember what was the first stupid thing I wanted to say. We went to like 7 stupid.
Alien spaceship.
No. Now we're going down like a ninth stupid path that it's going to confuse me even further. So what stupid original thing was I going to say besides the principles of faith?
Something about the Dominican Republic and you didn't do this and that.
No. Way back. Like even before Uncle Phil and Jazzy Jeff.
The jacket. Oh, you were talking about like a shopping. You were talking about
before that. Good. See, we're going backwards. We're rewinding.
And then Steam Pipe Alley. And then there was another.
What a name for! Do you think he came up with the name for that show? I bet you he did.
Cantone? Could be. I don't know. I don't remember. I just remember watching it like it was Saturday mornings, I think.
By the way, he does a great impression of the kind of guys that I grew up with.
Yeah.
The Sicilian guys in my neighborhood.
That guy is actually brilliant, Maricatone.
Right. Yeah. Right. He does this great impression of.
Do you have any idea, like the people who hosted, anybody who's ever involved with a kids television program like that, like what's his name, Mr. Rogers, that guy, Cantone, other people like that. They are actually geniuses. These kind of people.
Yeah, they are. I don't think like I'm glad that I haven't heard anything bad about Mr. Rogers.
Yeah, sure.
Because I don't think I would accept it. I would just kind of like, just the same way that I can't hear any negativity about Cosby. Yeah. I don't give a shit.
Yeah.
I don't believe it.
You know why? Because listen, man, he was the only one. I remember when we came to America. He was trying to lift his people up, and they fought him every step of the way.
That's why. That's the primary reason I don't believe any of the crap.
Holy crap! Or it's not. I don't believe. I think a lot of it was very, very embellished.
Like, okay, look. I looked at the case.
Yeah.
I didn't read the whole dossier or whatever the hell you call it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Docket, whatever.
But it looked to me that the biggest. I could be wrong. I'm willing to accept this, but it looked to me that the worst thing going on there was that back in the 70s, he was, messing around with some broad, and there were drugs involved, and she came back like 35 times.
Yeah.
And then 35 years later,
yeah,
all of a sudden, when he's about to release his new show and he's talking to junior high school kids that the white man is not the reason why you are being held back.
Yeah, it's your pants
then all of a sudden,
that are near your ankles and your clothing, which is a tent.
No, he was. There was I was watching a YouTube video. Somebody took on their phone of the stuff that he was saying.
Yeah.
Right, and it wasn't televised. It wasn't there was no one's gonna put that on TV.
Yeah, it was like TMZ.
So it was like it's like a staticky cell phone video. Yeah. He was saying that it's not. Don't believe what they're telling you here. The white man is not keeping you poor. Yeah. The reality is that you have tremendous opportunities to go out there and succeed. Yeah. He was saying that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And that's.
Listen, I just remember we came to America and
capital offense.
No, I saw his show and I was just like, my God, this is incredible.
I love his show, man.
It was incredible.
And it's nothing to do with Denise. My love for Denise is separate.
Dude,
you know what I mean?
In that show,
Lisa Bonet.
Dude, in that show, there was like one of the seasons where she was just like, how should I put this? The girls that have that kind of person, you meet, like I meet these girls all the time, especially like in the kind of the Baltruva circles where they're kind of very.
Yeah, that's the girl I'm looking for.
They are very like, oh, let's go to Nachlaot and Batay and that kind of thing, But at the same time, so she has that kind of vibe, but at the same time, she's also like, just like a total, smokestack and completely, she's not too hippy dippy. She's very conscious and aware.
Yeah, man, you had girls like that.
Yeah.
I know exactly what you're talking about. Like she's a very Jewish girl.
Yeah.
Lisa Bonet, she is. I mean,
she is.
No, I don't mean technically. I mean just even in her her demeanor,
it's called Chain. That's what it's called.
Oh, let's we can't be too liberal with those kind of things. That really has to be earned.
Yeah.
By the way, since you brought up Chain, today is Yosef's birthday.
No, really?
Yeah.
Wow.
The actual Yosef, right?
My birth parsha is Vayigash, so.
So what does that mean? Your my birth parsha is Bamidbar.
Oh my goodness.
That makes sense, right?
Oh my God.
It's V8,
right? Lord.
I was born in the wilderness.
I'm very sorry.
That's fine. So no, but actually, on my birthday day that was the day that God commanded Shabbat to be observed.
Oh, nice. And that's why you couldn't go to PS1.
Apparently, that is why I couldn't go to PS1.
That's why you couldn't see Danny Krivit and Joe Clazel.
I bought some. I wasn't a huge fan of Danny Krivit. Definitely, I heard a couple of mixes of his.
Those parties were insane. They were outdoors. They were absolutely insane. I can tell you.
All right. Let's reel it. Let's. We're going off the rails again. All right, let's move. Hold on. If only I could just stop trying to remember the stupid thing I wanted to say. Maybe it'll come back to me. Oh no, we were talking about Lisa Bonet. Let's talk about her some more.
Yeah.
So hold on. No, this. So I watched A Different World for her.
Oh yeah.
I sat through Dwayne Wayne for her. Okay.
Yeah.
With those glasses. I actually like those glasses though.
Yeah.
and Sinbad. Remember Sinbad?
Oh my God, that guy. He was annoying, to say the least. And
he was look. I actually liked him. I like Sinbad.
No, he was cool. He was kind of like that,
He was clean. He worked. He was like, I don't know. He was funny. He was funny without cursing. He's one of those guys.
That's true.
Him, Brian Regan.
Yeah.
These two guys they're actually funny.
Yeah.
And Brian Regan is probably. I think Brian Regan was Norm Macdonald's favorite comedian.
Interesting.
The guy, he's hilarious. Mm-hmm. He'll say something like, "Nobody look at me, I'm a moron." You know, that I don't know. Yeah. He's a funny dude, but Sinbad was the last thing I remember about Sinbad is that remember that stupid joke segment of Norm Macdonald's show? Yeah. So he had Andy Dick on as a guest, and he made him read some of the jokes. Yeah. He's like, accomplished comedian Sinbad has declared bankruptcy for the second time, following a series of bad financial decisions. Yeah. And then the punchline was, "It looks like things went from sin bad to sin worse."
Oh my God, that's terrible.
Oh, but you gotta watch. The joke is horrible, but you gotta watch how Andy Dick was laughing at the joke. You gotta watch him say that because that was just like, just watch. I'll send you that clip. I recommend it highly. So I didn't know how funny Andy Dick was until seeing him as a guest on Norm Macdonald's show. You know, he just looked like he was like a wacko to me.
He just looks like a clown. Yeah, he was like you thought he was like gay, but he wasn't gay, but he was gay. Like you didn't know what he was.
He said he has children, but he says that he's bisexual. That's what he says. At least he likes broads.
I don't know. I just remember he was on that show.
I'm just kidding. I don't care.
What is it?
No, I was making a joke saying that at least there's some aspect of him that's redeeming because he likes broads. Get it? I was trying to insult gay people.
By the way, do you know what the number one song on the Billboard charts speaking of 1994? You know what the number one song was?
1994 number one song.
Like the one that was number one for the longest amount of time in that year.
Was that like "Kiss from a Rose"?
So that was the next year. That was the following year.
That was 95, really?
Yeah, 94 was Ace of Base. I Saw the Sign. Base.
Oh.
Or I Saw the Seaman.
Yeah, the Seaman, right? All That She Wants. You know that song? That was like their first big. That song makes me think of because when you were talking about like a song that makes you think of a girl, that song makes you think of a girl.
Same.
That I used to sit next to, and I don't know why that song makes me think of her, but it does. Yeah. And also, That's the Way Love Goes by Janet Jackson. Yeah. That was the same time. That came out.
There's no more of that, man. There's just like WAP. That's what they have now.
What is that?
Wet ass, whatever.
Oh, dear God.
You know what I'm saying? That's what they have now instead of like, something that's actually like designed to, make you infatuated as opposed to whatever.
Can this be rock bottom? Like, I hope we're at rock bottom. That's all.
Yeah, I think it is. I hope it is.
I hope it is.
I hope the stupid thing in the Astro World, whatever it was called. This.
What the hell is that, man? I don't get that.
This guy had a freaking whatever. I don't even want to say. He had a ritual. He basically did. Dude, I'm telling you, everything right now that we're seeing, from pharma to everything to music to everything, is just centered around these this stuff.
Citrata, yeah, man.
Yeah, but it's like you see it in the open. You see them like, involved in that stuff right in your face, and nobody. I mean, there are people that do see it. There are people that made YouTube videos, compilations of kids who were there. They were talking about, this was a ritual. This was like a,
yeah.
This is stuff from like another realm. So people get it, but it's like the media is not saying it. They're not reporting it. People on the ground understand what's going on, but the media doesn't give a damn because they're part of it, obviously.
Yeah.
It's like somebody mentioned that, like, they're talking about like, journalists are people, so it's like journalism comes from people. I'm like, and then I wrote like, well, Anderson Cooper, his mother's a Vanderbilt, so I don't know if I would consider them people per se.
He's not exactly a people. That reminds me of. You ever watch Archer? it was a cartoon. It was like, it's kind of like loosely. It's like a James Bond parody type thing.
Yes.
I obviously, they're liberal bullshit, but I love it. I can't help certain things. I can't help. I actually love Archer, right? And he has this like line where it started with like there's some dinner party going on, and he has a butler, and I forgot his name. Let's call him Smithers.
Yeah,
whatever,
or Jeeves or something like that.
Right. And he's and then they're like, well, what, let Smithers sit down. And he goes, no, don't let him sit down because he'll think he's people. Look at him, he thinks he's people. and then that was like a running theme through the show. Like there's this one episode where he had to go find his dog in Turkmenistan, and he bonded with the dog, and then he was just like driving with him, and he goes, look, Lana, look, he thinks he's people.
I'm telling you, that's how they hate us, man. They looking at us like thinking like, man, they think they're people. Look at them. When they watch us like protest.
It's the other way around, man. It's like they're trying to pretend like they know they're not people.
I know.
And they're trying to act or make us think that they're people, but they're not.
They're not. It's like you see Chuck Schumer dancing, at like a wedding or something like that, and everybody's like, all these, they're like, well, they're all vaccinated and they're all tested, and so are we. You flip,
dude. There's like a thing where when I see, like, Nadler or Chuck Schumer, or Zucker,
Zucker Putz, basically all these Mitzrayim people. Yeah.
No, but the thing is, it's like it hurts me. Like I feel it like underneath my rib, my left rib.
I know.
It hurt like physically, like seeing his face because it's so Jewy, right? Yeah. And it's such an embarrassment that he's behaving and he's a part of this. It physically hurts me underneath my left rib.
But can I tell
every
you
time in the same place?
But can I tell you something? On the one hand, it does hurt. On the other hand, because we know that we're in the era that right preceding Mashiach, we know that these are like the cartoon characters that freaking Hashem placed before us to be, to be creeping around.
It's agony. It's agony.
It's agony, but it's also like a very hidden sort of hizuk for me, at least. I don't know. But
I don't know. It's just I feel like energy drain when I see that, and like you just like Barbra Streisand. You know what I'm talking about. Like fucking Bette Midler. Please be quiet. Please, like stop it.
Or it's just so much Woody Allen, Larry David, all those kids.
Yeah, there's not Larry David. Until he had that thing with the shouting match with Trump, right?
Yeah.
I didn't think that I was okay with Larry David.
Yeah.
Because he seemed to have some kind of self.
Yeah.
But what the hell? What was that about? Do you know anything about that?
Wait, shouting match with Trump? What?
A couple of weeks ago, Larry David was like he was reported like he had some kind of unhinged episode somewhere, like something to do with Trump.
Oh, with a Trump supporter or something like that. Yeah, I think it was it. I don't know. The guy's off the road. Whatever. Like somebody convinced all these people that Trump is Hitler. That Trump, the person that gave the Jews Jerusalem, is Hitler. It's just because you understand that like. The reason that people think he's Hitler is because their entire Jewish identity is actually predicated on the Holocaust.
Yeah.
It's
a victimhood. That's what it is.
Not just remembering the Holocaust, but actually being defined by it. It's okay to remember stuff, but they are defined by it. They did the Pew Research survey of American Jews. What is the number one thing that's you connect to your Jewish identity? Remembering the Holocaust. That's the number one flipping thing, they said.
Let's move on because mir tashnit.
Yeah.
and also like I feel bad. Like the more I see these guys, like I really pity.
Yeah.
I'm starting it's going from rage to pity. They're not well. Like
you
see,
they're
not.
The irony is that nobody realizes that right now we are basically in 1932, and Goebbels is doing his work, and nobody's what's coming in like a few years, not a few, like let's say 3 or 4 years. Nobody is understanding what's going on right now. And if you say what I'm saying now, people get very offended because they don't have an education.
There's something about people who are not armed getting offended that makes me not give a damn.
Exactly. Yeah. It's true.
Right? It's like, true. What is the result of your offense?
Yeah,
what are you going to do? You're going to pull out your 9?
Yeah,
what are you going to do?
I'm like, I don't understand. Yeah, somebody told me like, I'm like, okay, so you're offended. Dальше что? In Russian, like Azma. Like, what's next? What comes next? You're offended.
Do you know about cream cheese?
What specifically about cream cheese?
There's a guy, I'm not going to say his name, but we called him Cream Cheese, and he taught. He was basically a mob enforcer who then did tshuva, and he was teaching. He was a martial artist. He was like like a serious one. You know what I mean?
You're not talking about Isaac, right? Steve Isaac.
I'm not talking about him, but it's it's the same whatever.
Okay, fine.
Okay, the same mishpucha.
Gotcha.
Okay, so it's really not him though.
Oh, I know. Okay, fine. Yeah.
Now you know who I'm talking about, right?
Yeah.
He's not with us anymore, unfortunately.
Mm-hmm.
So he was telling us. So we used to go to him, right? And he taught me a lot, and he was telling us one story how, and this is a true story, by the way, I confirmed. Okay, this is like in the 70s, some disco club. He went to the bathroom to rob the coke dealer.
The heck?
Right? And he went in there, right? And he's like, "Hey man, I want to buy some coke." He's like, "Sure, man." Grabbed the whole bag from him. He goes, "Fuck you gonna do about it?" The guy did nothing.
Yeah.
He was a professional intimidator. That guy was. I don't know why this just popped into my head.
I heard if it's the same guy we're talking about, I heard that somebody told me a story that he like ripped some guy's eyeball out or something like that.
No, that's the technique that he teaches.
Oh, okay.
That's part of the thing. That's like basically the idea is that if you're surrounded and the bigger trouble you're in, the more horrible the thing you have to do.
Yeah. Well,
because it's all psychological.
It's all like to scare the crap out of whomever is threatening. Yeah.
Yeah. Whoever's closest to you.
Yeah.
Grab him, rip his eye out. He's like, put it in your mouth and go.
It's like Bear Grylls when he ate the yak's eye. You ever see that episode?
I did not see that.
Bear Grylls, the guy, the survivor man, whatever, like the former SAS guy. So he goes to the forest. And he just finds like a yak, and he kills the yak and he eats like that. He's like, "Do you know how much protein is in this eyeball? It's got enough protein for the entire year." And he just like eats that. It's like yellow, like it's coming out. I'll never watch that again.
The poor yak. We're not talking about it. It's a different. We're talking about some jerks that are trying to kill you, surrounding you, and there's some poor yak hiding in the forest, and this maniac comes and kills and eats his eye. That's not like anything that I'm talking about.
But he's got protein for the year. Fuck off.
Give it a go, eh? Give it a go.
Oh man.
So basically, everything that Cream Cheese taught was very, very, very deliberate. Meaning, like there wasn't any like he was a serious martial artist. He received a serious like tradition.
Yeah.
Basically.
Yeah.
And he showed us like the scrolls actually from Japan that were depicting these concepts, right? Like even the facial expressions. Like if you ever seen like those Japanese Tengu demons, like they do this scary faces and stuff like that.
Yeah, they look
and
like
it looks
they
cartoonish.
They look like the face that you remember in Street Fighter 2 after E Honda gets his ass beat, and then they show the two headshots, and one of the guys is saying he's talking down to him, the guy that won, and then you see E Honda is just bloody, and then his face is looks like he just his eyebrows look like all over the place.
See, he had one of E Honda's moves is his arm was stretched out and it was going back and forth like that, right? That's the sound he made.
Yeah.
Yeah, E Honda was cool, man.
Pretty dope.
But he was showing us these. They had these depictions of demons and their facial expressions.
Yeah.
And it looked ridiculous until he showed us what they look like when you apply them in real life. I'm like, oh my god, that's not cartoonish. That's actually terrifying. You would not want to. You would not want to. That's not something that you want to deal with.
Yeah.
Anyway, so his tshuva, right? When he did tshuva, he's gonna dedicate his life to teaching, pimply weakling yeshiva boys how to not get murdered, and he was partially successful.
Mm-hmm. I took one of the classes, actually, not his, but the what is it called, the
Shima Jiu-Jitsu.
Yeah, the student. It's interesting. It's interesting to say the least.
Well, he's not a student. Both of them had the same.
Oh, okay.
They both had the same Rebbe.
So Vice News came to. It was at Rage, and they came to film. It was very interesting. And,
Vice News.
And they obviously they cut out a lot and chopped and edited and whatever. They couldn't make it look bad. It was just it was a special on martial arts. It's like Vice Sports or whatever it is. But of course they had to mention that all these Orthodox Jews or whatever being militant and all this kind of stuff. I don't know.
Yeah.
There was not a lot in there about why Jews need to defend themselves. Let's think. Why?
Isn't that amazing that Gavin McInnes actually started Vice News?
What did he start?
Gavin McInnes, he actually founded Vice News with those other two schmucks, and then they had a falling out.
What? Really?
Yeah, he sold his portion of Vice News for a hefty chunk, and then became our Kohen Gadol. Basically.
Funny. That's funny. Kohen Gadol.
No, you know what I mean, right? I don't want to say it. But it's funny that he actually refers to Dante Hero as the Kohen Gadol of the PB. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Because the No Wanks Club and all that kind of stuff. It's a lot of overlapping concepts.
You know that? What's his name? Milo. Oh my God! Sorry, Milo Yiannopoulos is Jewish.
Wittgenstein, man. He says that, but it's horseshit.
No, his mom is Jewish.
I don't know. Somehow he's Greek, Catholic, Jewish, British.
Yeah,
he's everything, whatever he needs to be.
He always says when people accuse him of this, that, and the other, he's like, "I'm a gay Jew. What do you want?"
But he's not. He's like a gay fundamentalist Catholic.
He's
Jewish,
man. He's halakhically.
No, but he's really Catholic.
He's a practicing Catholic, but he's a yid. He's mamash a yid.
You know, he got his teeth done, and then Gavin McInnes is like, "You kind of look like a handsome horse."
If Milo Yiannopoulos is a handsome horse, then what the hell is AOC?
Oh, she's even handsomer horse. You know what's funny? We're talking about AOC, right?
Yeah.
And I gave her this. I call it the BBB, the bug-eyed buck-toothed Byzantine, right? That's what I came up with.
What the hell? Why Byzantine?
Just I'm not gonna look it up. I'm not gonna get into the whole thing.
Interesting,
right? And when I'm hanging out, I was hanging out with some friends who were like, "Yeah, AOC, crazy broad," which, and then, but none of us would be like, "Yeah, it's not like we're not gonna hit it. We'll still hit it." You know what I mean?
She was actually not so bad. There was that video of her dancing on the rooftop when she was in college or something.
I never saw that.
She wasn't so bad, but then then she like came to now she you look at her now and it's just like.
There's another one that's Jewish when it's convenient, right? She was trying to pretend. She was like,
"Oh my god!"
Do you remember that bullshit?
I just love it. Yeah, there's a picture of her lighting the Hanukkah, the Hanukkah, and then I'm just and I'm like, I always say like that if secular Jews in America actually realized what the holiday of Hanukkah was about, they would gouge their eyes out.
Because what Hanukkah was about.
They would stop pushing the two-state solution, or no, they would they would stop pushing two-state solution.
I think they would just stop celebrating Hanukkah because
there was an article. What's funny? Article written in the New York Times about that.
For anybody listening to this or in the future, it's insane. It's sort of like leftist Jews celebrating Hanukkah is like leftist Jews were the ones who were the bad guys in the Hanukkah story. Do you understand?
Yeah,
it wasn't the Greeks that we were fighting. It was mostly Hellenized Jews. It was a civil war, primarily.
Civil war, and then again, of course, the Greeks. Yeah.
And it wasn't even the Greeks. It was the Seleucid. It was the Hellenized Syrians.
Dude, and
Hellenized Jews.
And the battles all mostly happened where today is, you go to like Beit El, you go to all those little towns, 30 minutes, 40 minutes north of Jerusalem. It's called Binyamin, and that's where it all happened. It didn't happen in Tel Aviv. It didn't happen in Haifa area. It didn't happen in the south. It happened right there. And there's still like partisan camps. You can actually see it, the archaeological evidence, remnants, whatever you want to call it.
I've seen some of that on YouTube. It looks so cool, man. There's so many sites that I never got a chance to see that I'd love to visit, especially the megalithic sites.
Yeah.
Those are my favorite. The ones with very little explanation to them.
Yeah. Oh, in the Galil, there's one. And it was actually in a bottle of wine.
There's a lot in Israel. A lot.
I know.
And by the way, like the craziest megalithic site that in the entire earth, and there's a lot of them, like Peru, Egypt. There's like some crazy stuff.
Yeah, Nazca, whatever it's called.
The Nazca lines, right? Yeah. That's a different type of feature, but that's also incredible. That's incredible.
Yeah.
So we're talking about like giant stones.
Yeah.
That the ancient aliens always talk, doing episodes about this stuff.
You want to talk about the Greek guy with the hair? Is that what you want?
Tsoukalos, Georgios Tsoukalos. But by the way, he's like the most normal of all those guys.
Yeah, after him you get like Bart Sadok.
Bart Sadok he's not one of them. He's not. They're all part of the same little cult. Bart Sadok has nothing at all to do with it. He's always, he's like, I'm trying to explain, to these guys that, Yecheskel and his, the Masa Merkava and all that, that it's not. He's trying to explain to them what it actually means. Nobody wants to hear, the meaning of it in the original Hebrew, and everybody just like took it and made their own thing with it. They don't want to listen, so don't put Bart. You can't put Bart Sadok with those guys. He's legit. He's a legit dude, and so he's a real rabbi. Actually, we talked about that before. Yeah. There's not a lot of real rabbis. He has intuition, he has common sense, and he has the balls to make a ruling.
Yeah.
And and he's a religious guy. He's legit. He's genuine. But so the megalithic sites, right? Like there's many impressive ones, but the most astounding of all is in Baalbek, which is it's
South Lebanon.
It's Eretz Yisrael, but it's technically in Lebanon right now.
Biblical Israel, but
and it happens to have the most massive megalithic. They have the stones, not the stones, but the bricks that they carved. Right, they have like these perfectly shaped rectangular cubes that are foundation of that temple, that for some reason they called it the Temple of Jupiter. I guess that's what the Romans called it.
Yeah.
Each one of those stones is 1,000,000 tons.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. 1,000.
I'm looking at it. The temples of
1,000 to 1,500 tons per stone. How do they quarry them? How do they move them? We still can't do that to this day.
It's insane. Temples of Baalbek, yeah. Wow.
No, it's just like
megaliths. Yeah. Well.
Yeah.
No, listen. They had technology.
I'm not making any statements. Yeah. I'm just saying. Yeah. I don't know what they did. I don't know how they did it. I don't know. But what I do know is that they had technology that was more sophisticated than we do now. Why do I say that? Simply because you cannot reproduce that nowadays. Yeah. You can't even build the pyramid nowadays.
That's crazy.
Okay.
It's like, you know every time I hear this kind of stuff, I think of Jackie Mason had a whole video he made for his YouTube channel where he went to the Vatican. He was like traveling in Italy, and he's standing in the Vatican. He's like, I'm here in the Vatican. It was like the summertime. He's like, I'm here in the Vatican. It's outside. It's hot. It's 85 degrees, 90 degrees outside. You know how many degrees it is in here? 55. Do you know why? Do you think there's central air conditioning here? No. You know why? Cross ventilation. He's like, people back in the day, they had natural air conditioning. They knew about mathematics and science, and they made cross ventilation. Everything was built quality. Look at this place. It's made of stone. You go to somebody's house in Boca. Oh, I have central air. He's like, screw your central air. He's like, your house is made of paper, you yenta.
right. Put your sheetrock.
Yeah, made of paper. He's gonna fly away. This is made of stone. 500 years ago. Cross ventilation. 85 degrees outside, 55 degrees inside.
Yeah, absolutely. The man was a wise man. He knew what he was saying.
Yeah. Listen, he was a Rav. Had smicha.
He had smicha. We can't call him a Rav. No. You got to live like a Rav. You can't say he did that.
True.
But he definitely was a special.
I went to a show of his during the election before Trump got elected, and so he decided that the show was an hour long. He spent the first 30 minutes making fun of Trump, and it was very funny. Everybody laughed, or making fun of Republicans, including Trump. Then he took an intermission. He has his intermissions in his shows. Yeah. And then everybody gets back. It was like one of those. It wasn't a theater. It was like a regular, comedy club with like tables. So we get back, and then the second half of the show, he devotes to making fun of Hillary. The women sitting behind us. Speaking of these freaking people who make you sick. These Jewish yentas got up and left.
Good.
At some point, and then my mom was just like livid. She's like, "See, I told you they can't take a joke. This is like Soviet Union. This is she was saying this in like 2015. My mom. And you know what? Absolutely right. And now we're here in the year 2021. And Dave Chappelle is getting rotisserie chicken on Kenny Rogers roasters.
Yeah, I don't think so. I don't think he's.
They tried to cook him.
Yeah, but like all you got to do is not care. I mean, it's not like.
Yeah.
I don't get this whole thing about
So why do white people care? Like, why would a white guy? Why are there people who care and people who don't?
Why are there people who care and people who don't?
Yeah.
Because
what is in the people who care?
It's
like a white man savior thing. Like, well, what is it?
It's basically, look, the only people who are susceptible to that kind of thing are the people who have some level of decency.
Yeah.
To begin with, go try that in Russia. There's no one to talk to. They're going to laugh at you. They're going to be like, what are you talking about? Like, you know, there's no one there to whine to. Do you understand?
Yeah.
The people that you whine to are the ones who care.
Yeah.
That's the problem. That's the horrible.
There's no
audience.
irony.
Understand? You're trying to make. It's a very It's primarily a female thing.
Yeah.
Because you can make it's kind of like it's somewhat of a maternal thing.
Yeah.
You can make your mom feel bad even if you're a sack of shit.
Yeah, that's true.
You understand? Like you're like the kid, her kid. Like you've seen this before, right? You see, the kid is no good. He's whining. He's complaining. The mom will blame herself at some point, and she'll have pity on him, and she'll have mercy, and he'll get worse and more out of control, and it's just this horrific cycle. Do you understand?
Yeah.
So we've adopted that mentality as a society.
Yeah.
Okay. And there's one thing, because we talked about Gavin McInnes. Gavin McInnes had a great idea. He's like, we should get an old Japanese man to be the president.
That's hilarious.
Okay? Because an old Japanese man, anything you come up to him, you know, you try to propose some kind of new thing, he's like, no.
No.
No. No. No. No. You know, he's just that guy.
And then at the end he'll be like, Harakiri. He gets tired of everything.
Right.
Harakiri.
No.
He's like, he's just stabbing himself and carving his guts out.
Like, Mr. President, this new social program. No.
No. I stab him.
No.
I stab myself.
No.
Oh.
Right?
It'll be the first self-assassination of a president. Suicide in the White House.
Dude,
I cannot take stupid people. The stupidity are killing me.
I cannot live in such a generation.
I cannot live in such with the Kamala Harris.
Kamala
Harris. I cannot live. This stupid orange bitch who Psaki. Get you Saki. Go away. Orange bitch. You know what I'm saying? The guy will go crazy.
Nah, he won't. He'll just be like...
Oroku Saki would go crazy in the White House. You understand?
Oroku Saki.
He would turn into the Splinter and go crawl in the sewer.
No, Hamata Yoshi is Splinter. Oroku Saki was Predator.
Yeah. He would turn to Hamata. Yeah, he would turn to Splinter and turn to the Rat and go live in the sewers of Washington D.C. in the swamp, under the where what's his name? Nicolas Cage found the national treasure.
Yeah, love that movie.
My God, like poor Japanese president.
Oh my God, the poor. But he'd be good for the country. Just no to everything. That's all we need.
You know who he would need to be? Not the Japanese guy. He would need to be Krang. The brain.
I know. Shredder.
I think that's who's ruling. You know who Krang is? That's George Soros is Krang.
George Soros is he's not the top of the totem pole. I'm so sick of that.
I know.
Dude, listen.
He's like Bebop and Rocksteady.
He's Bebop and Rocksteady. There is a pattern that was established 1,000 years ago by Charlemagne.
Yeah.
Okay? When he invited the Jewish community up to Western Europe, right? Yeah. He had a plan. First of all, he understood that he needed them for the economy, to grow the economy. Yeah. And he also needed them as a barrier between the European aristocracy and the peasant class. Yeah. Because they wanted to charge heavy taxes on the peasants. Yeah. But according to Christianity, you're not allowed to charge taxes. Yeah. Right? You're not allowed to, collect whatever. There's some kind of nuance like that. Yeah. So what they did was they're like, we'll get the Jews to do it. They'll go and collect for us. We can't take it from from the Christians because we have to pretend to be, like we care about this religion, right? Like the peasants do. Yeah. So we're going to get the Jews to do it. Yeah. So that is the role that the Jews have played since that time. Yeah. The barrier between the fucking aristocracy, the European aristocracy, Klaus Schwab, Gates, this garbage, this inhuman beasts, right?
Yeah.
And then Soros is fulfilling the role. He agreed to play the role of the Jew, as it was for 1,000 years.
Yeah.
Fucker.
So who's really behind all of this? It's Schwab, or
I don't know who it is, but it's those dudes. You understand what I'm saying? Like the man, like the man, whoever that is. Yeah. But it's I don't think it's specifically European aristocracy just anymore, like it has been. Now it's a new aristocracy. Yeah. Okay?
It's a techocracy, basically.
A techocracy, just, you know what I'm talking about. It's hard to, Hollywoodocracy, all these people, like, I don't know who, like, is there one ethnicity that's dominating it?
No,
that's like hiring a bunch of Quislings.
I do think that there is an element of, like, people who are halachically Jewish, but they got anything to do with Hashem or Torah or mitzvot, or it's just straight up like Erev Ravness.
The Erev Rav, okay, is a complex issue because apparently they're still going to be elevated.
You think?
Moshe
really?
Brought them out for some reason. Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah, they are like the last clipper that have some sparks in them that need to be elevated. Like, why do you think we've been dragging them along this whole time? Okay, there's a reason, but it's a pain in the ass. It's rough.
Not just because they want their names on the buildings.
It's not just because of that. Okay, there's something that God wants extracted from that. So let's get back to something.
Yeah.
We were having fun there, and then got really sour there for a while. So let's pull out of that.
Yeah.
So, okay, let's read the 13 principles of Jewish faith. You still got some time?
Yeah, let's do that, and then we'll kind of tie stuff together.
Yeah, I got a couple of things. Like, I guess if we don't go off the, if we don't take the scenic route and
we have like 45 minutes. I'm just letting you know that.
Okay. Okay, so principle of faith number 1. If there's anybody out there who wanted to know what Judaism is, I had guys on the construction site. They're like, "Can you please explain what do Jews believe? What is your religion?" Well, here it is. Number 1, believe in the existence of the Creator, who is perfect in every manner of existence, and is the primary cause of all existence. His existence, or his ability to exist, is perfect. Okay. The belief in God's, number 2, the belief in God's absolute and unparalleled unity. Number 3, the belief in God's non-corporeality, nor that he will be affected by any physical occurrences, such as movement or rest or dwelling. Number 4, the belief in God's eternity. Number 5, the imperative to worship God exclusively and no foreign false gods. Number 6, the belief that God communicates with man through prophecy. Okay? Number 7, the belief in the primacy of the prophecy of Moshe Rabbeinu, of Moses, our teacher. Number 8, the belief in the divine origin of the Torah. Number 9, the belief in the immutability of the Torah. Number 10, the belief in God's omniscience and providence. Number 11, the belief in divine reward and retribution. Number 12, the belief in the arrival of the Mashiach and the Messianic era. So you see that he specifically outlines two different things. That like you were saying, the Rav Kook guys were probably misrepresenting Rav Kook, saying that Mashiach is an era. No, you see that here. That's two separate things. Number 12, I'll say it again: the belief in the arrival of the Mashiach and the Messianic era. Okay. Number 13, the belief in the resurrection of the dead. I'll say it again: the belief in the resurrection of the dead. Should I say it a third time? A belief in the resurrection of the dead. So it is the custom of many congregations to recite the 13 articles or principles of faith in a slightly more poetic form, beginning with the words "Ani Ma'amin."
Yeah, it's usually Sephardim probably do that.
Ashkenazim do it too. I've seen it. Yeah. So, all right. So that's a good start, because a while ago we were talking about learning Mashiach, or like devoting a segment to learning something about Mashiach, because the Rebbe's statements on how to bring Mashiach is to learn about him, right? This is a pretty good start, because there's this idea of first in thought but last in deed. Meaning, like, the thing that you want people to remember the most, or the thing you want to emphasize the most, is the last thing you're going to say. Because that'll be the fresh thing in their mind, right? That they walk away with. It's not an accident that number 12 and number 13 of the 13 principles of being Jewish, right? What that means is the belief in the arrival of the Mashiach and the Messianic era, and the belief in the resurrection of the dead. Those are not negotiable.
Can I say what always kind of, it didn't bother me, but always kind of like, to me, it's just a thing of like, it seems to me that, like, you reel off this list. Even number 12 seems easy to conceptual, like to accept.
Yeah.
But then you get to 13 and it's just like, it's almost like out of nowhere, like, oh, by the way, resurrection of the dead. Why? It's funny, like, and it's not funny, but it's interesting how believing that the dead will rise is actually harder than believing in an omnipotent creator that you can't even see.
I don't know why.
It's harder. It's hard to believe that something that was physical, that became not, it just went into the ground, will become physical again, as opposed to something that's non-physical at all, beyond space and time. We can, conceptualize it that it's a thing. It's much easier to do that. I don't know. It's very interesting.
So number 11 is very much connected to number 13. Number 11 is the belief in divine reward and retribution.
Yeah.
Okay, so that is justice.
Yeah.
Mida keneged mida.
Yeah.
The body must be rewarded for its contribution to the project. Because remember, we're here doing something for God. We're building something. We're completing a project that's yet to be completed. Okay, the body is responsible for that. It would not be possible at all for the body. Thereby, there would be no justice at all. If justice is programmed into this creation, then there's no possible way that the dead can't rise from the dead. It's not going to work without everybody coming back to claim their portion.
Yeah.
Okay, that's essentially that's the reason why. That's the primary reason why. Okay, and that's why it's such a fundamental. It's so fundamental that it had to be. It took the primary. It's arguable what's primary. The first one or the last one.
Yeah.
I would say the last one. I would say they're unified, actually.
Yeah.
So, I know there's no real, like, I can't think of a segue into this, but I wanted to see if I can talk about another, unification. If you recall, we did like that unification with the name Yud Hey Vav Hey and the name Elohim. Do you recall that?
Yeah.
Right. There's 4 iterations of Yud Hey Vav Hey because of the 3 different ways that the letter Vav and the letter Hey can be spelled.
Yeah.
And there's 3 iterations of the name Elohim because the name Elohim contains the letter Hey. And since there's 3 ways to spell the letter Hey, there's 3 iterations of the name Elohim. Yes. And when I say spell the letter Hey, you know what I mean, right? Like how each Hebrew letter, I know you know, but just as a review, each Hebrew letter has a name with a spelling. Yeah. For example, Aleph is Aleph Lamed Pei. Bet is Bet Yud Tav, and this is it's consistent. There's no argument as to how the names are spelled. It was brought down to us from Sinai. Okay, but Hey has 3 different ways of spelling its name, and it's a special letter. And Vav has also 3 different ways of spelling its name. Okay, so that will create 4 iterations of the name Yud Hey Vav Hey, the Tetragrammaton. Okay, so basically, when we showed all the full spelling out, the milui of both names, of the name Havaya and the name Elohim, there were 39 letters in Havaya, right? When you spell out all the 4 names, the 4 versions of it, you'll count 39 letters. And then when you do the same for Elohim, you'll count 39 letters. So basically, what is that? When you study them, you look at these 2 different words and they look different, right? Yeah. But when you take a closer look at them, you study some of their characteristics, you see there's a lot of things that they share in common. And that was the first example that I brought. Okay? Yeah. I want to now bring a second example, which is it's not as lengthy an explanation. Okay? So, and this isn't even directly about the names themselves. This is about the numerical representation of these names. It's amazing. Yeah. When you hear the number 26, what does that mean? You know what that means.
That's Hashem's.
That's Yud Hey Vav Hey. Yeah. Yud Hey Vav Hey. The name Yud Hey Vav Hey is Gematria 26. 26 and Yud Hey Vav Hey are synonymous with each other. Okay, there's no other 26. That is the ultimate definition, meaning of the number 26. Yeah. Now, the name Elohim is 86. Okay, when you hear 86, Elohim is the primary definition of the name 86. These numbers are synonymous with these words, with these names. Okay, absolutely. Now, we know that in Hebrew, we don't have the same numerical symbols that we use today. You know, the Persian / alphabet Arabic symbols, right? As they call them. I think that they're primarily Persian, really, but what we know that each Hebrew letter is also a number. It's equally a number. Okay, so the letters were always used as the number symbols as well. They had a double use. And I've also seen evidence, and it seems to be that when you're looking at a Hebrew letter, it might even be more of a number than it is a letter. But that's a separate conversation. So here we're going to unify the 26 and the 86 again. Okay? And so what does that mean? We're going to show that 86, that the name Elohim is contained within the Yud Hey Vav Hey, which is 26. Yeah. So how are you gonna get 86 out of 26? So check this out. What is the numerical representation of 26 in Hebrew? It is Chaf Vav.
Mm-hmm.
Chaf is 20, and Vav is 6.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, that's how it's represented. Excuse me.
Mm-hmm.
Now, let's recall again. These are numbers, but they're also letters, and it still has the same name, right? Like, how would you spell the number 3 if you had to write it out? Three. That's a number, but you see it has a spelling and a name, right? Okay. So how would you spell Chaf? What is the name of the letter Chaf? How would you spell it? It would be Chaf and then Fei.
Yeah.
That's the spelling of the name. Okay.
Yeah.
And how would you spell Vav as it pertains to our reality? So there's 3 versions of the letter Vav. 3 versions of it. Okay.
Yeah.
Vav Yud Vav. That's related to Atzilut and Beria. That's how Vav is written out in those 2 worlds, those spiritual worlds.
Yeah.
That's how Vav expresses itself. In the upper world of Yetzirah, Vav is spelled Vav Aleph Vav.
Yeah.
In our world, it's spelled Vav Vav. Okay, so yeah, so now let's remove the letters that were hidden from the Chaf Vav. So if you write the letter Chaf and you write the letter Vav, that's the numerical representation of 26. But then when you extract their hidden letters, right, from the Chaf, you have the Fei. That's 80.
Yeah.
And from the Vav, you have the second Vav. That's 6.
Yeah.
86. That's Elohim.
Yeah.
So you have 26, and you derive the 86. So basically, even from the numerical representation of these 2 names, you have this connection, you have this unification, and it shows you that one is extracted out of the other, that it's unified into it, and that in order to even see this idea of Elohim, it has to be removed from the unity of Yud He Vav He. So you see, it starts out unified. You understand? That's and we have this idea, Shema Yisrael, Hashem Elokeinu, Hashem Echad. So what is that really saying? It's like, listen, Jacob. These are the sons of Jacob telling him, look, Jacob, Israel, Father, don't worry. We understand that Yud He Vav He is Elohim. Yud He Vav He is Echad, is one. That's what I mean. That's the primary. That's what that statement is. We're telling our Father that we understand that. Don't worry, we learned the lesson that you taught us. That we know that Yud He Vav He and Elohim are the same being. That it's not, and that was a big chiddush. That was like a revolutionary thought in the ancient world, because they knew, like for instance, the Egyptians, they knew all about Elohim. They didn't know anything. They never heard of Yud He Vav He.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's why that's the thing that we say: Shema Yisrael, Hashem Elokeinu, Hashem Echad. Elokeinu, what is that? Our Elohim, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so that's unification level 2. I have charts of this, by the way. I don't know if you would be interested, I could send that to you, and you could, I don't know, include that in a link or something like that.
Yeah.
For anybody that wanted to see it visually or graphic depiction of it. Okay, so that's something that I thought would be it's a good thing to talk about, because it fits into the theme. So we talked about, this is episode 13, and we talked about the 13 principles of faith. But also, what's interesting is that the number 1 is also 13.
Yeah.
Because
that's what I always found. By the way, can I just tell you real quick about 13? Like, this is another thing. Like, it's actually crazy. Growing up, like, you're talking about, like, starting from junior high school all throughout high school, I found myself encountering the number 13 all the time. Just on a personal, very kind of micro level. And I don't know why, though, we always saw, like, that Gentiles goyim, like, they thought 13 was, like, a bad luck and all this kind of stuff. And I never thought, like, I always felt comfortable around that number. I always felt, I remember I played actually travel hockey in high school, and nobody wanted that number. And I always wanted that number. I always felt comfortable around it. I always wondered why.
Share the unity of God.
Yeah.
Obviously, there's some kind of blockage in the consciousness of man, for the most part, that has an issue with. That's kind of what we're working on.
Yeah.
So it's not surprising, but so how is 13, Greg? How is 13? How is 1 and 13 the same? Tell us.
I mean, it's echad is the word echad is gematria 13.
Exactly, echad means 1, and the gematria of the word is 13. So aleph is gematria 1. Het is gematria 8. Right. So how much is that? That's 9.
Yeah.
Right. And then dalet is 4.
Yeah.
It's 13. So why 13? Well, I mean, it has something to do with probably the principles of faith, but it also has something to do with the principles of mercy, or the 13 tribes.
Yeah.
13. Let me see if I can. The 13 attributes of mercy. Okay. What are the 13 attributes of mercy? Okay. So I'm going to just read from this. This is from Chabad.org. Okay, it's written by. This is an article written by Dovi Shochet. I'm not going to read the whole thing, but so basically, what are the 13 attributes of mercy? So after the golden calf incident, Moshe ascended up to Mount Sinai and he pleaded with God to forgive the Jewish people. After his supplications were accepted, Moshe felt it was an auspicious moment to ask God to give the Jewish people a way to obtain mercy should they fail again in the future. So God agreed with Moshe and told him to wait on a mountain where God would show him his glory. Kavod. So then God passed before Moshe and proclaimed the verses that are known as the 13 attributes of mercy, the Midot Harachamim. Yud Gimel Midot Harachamim. So the English is, these are the verses. And it says, and the Lord passed before him and proclaimed, Lord, Lord, benevolent God, who is compassionate and gracious, slow to anger, and abundant in loving kindness and truth, preserving loving kindness for thousands, forgiving iniquity, rebellion, and sin, and he pardons. So that is Exodus chapter 34, verses 6 through 7. Okay, so now we're going to break it up into 13 sections. Okay, so the 13 attributes of mercy have been known to bring salvation and forgiveness to the Jewish people throughout the generations. In the Talmud, Rabbi Yehuda states that, quote, a covenant was established regarding the 13 attributes of mercy, that they will never be returned empty-handed. That if you invoke them, they will always yield. So, okay, so basically, so who knows 13? So let us explore the power and significance of the number 13. Okay, let me see. I just want to skip over some of the stuff we already talked about. Okay, number 13 signifies the infinite. The number 12 signifies constraint and order, and like the 12 zodiac signs and the 12 months in a year. So above order and control, 13 connotes boundlessness and immeasurability. The fact that there are 13 attributes of mercy teaches us that when God shows mercy, he does so without limit. Again, the number 12 signifies limitations, constraints, and, the things that the ordered universe as we know it. Yeah. Right? But 13 is the number that transcends 12. Yeah. And so it transcends all of those limitations. Yeah. And so when it comes to mercy, 13 is the right number because it represents boundless mercy. Mm-hmm. Okay. So basically, no matter how low we can fall, God will come to our aid and forgive us. Okay, so this is further demonstrated by the word echad, as you said earlier. It's Gematria 13, Aleph, Het, Dalet. Okay, 13. Mm-hmm. All right, so I wanted to actually find the section where it talks about what are the 13 attributes. Okay, so the Kabbalists take the following approach to the words that are counted as an attribute. So again, we're talking about Exodus chapter, 1 second, I just want to make sure we know. Exodus chapter 34, verses 6 through 7, okay? So all of the different elements mentioned there are split up into 13 different elements. So now we're going to outline them. Yeah. Okay, the first of the 13 attributes of mercy is the word El, which means Almighty. So that's one of the names of God, El, right? So it means mighty in compassion, and he gives all creatures according to their need. The second is the word Rachum, okay? So, and which means merciful, that humankind may not be distressed. Yeah. Okay? The third principle of attribute of mercy is the Chanun, means and gracious, if humankind is already in distress. Yeah. The fourth attribute of mercy is Erech Apayim, which means slow to anger. Yeah. The fifth is also Erech Apayim. It's repeated. Okay, the first one is the first Erech Apayim, slow to anger, is to the righteous. Yeah. He gives that for the righteous. The second Erech Apayim is different. That's repeated because it also extends to also the wicked. So there's two Erech Apayim. There's two attributes which are connected to the idea of slow to anger. Okay, which that we have to discuss why the righteous need a different one than the wicked. Yeah. Okay. So now the sixth attribute of mercy is the Rav Chesed, which means an abundant in kindness. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. The seventh attribute is Ve'emet, which means truth, reality. Okay? Mm-hmm. And it's good that a fundamental aspect of reality is mercy. That's really kind of... Okay, the eighth attribute is Notzer Chesed. Okay, he's the defender or the keeper of kindness. Right? The preserver of kindness. Yeah. Okay? And then the ninth is La Alofim, which means 2000s. I think that actually refers to generations, if I'm not mistaken. I have to look into that. Okay, the 10th is Nose Awon, forgiving iniquity, forgiving bad behavior and sins. Yeah. Okay. The 11th is Vafesha, and transgression. We have to look into the difference between iniquity and transgression. What's the difference between Avon and Pesha? Okay. Number 12, Ve'chata'a, and sin. So now we have these three different things which seem synonymous in English. Yeah. Sin, transgression, and iniquity. Avon, pesha, and chait, right? Hata'ah. Okay? And then finally, the 13th attribute of mercy is venakeh, and pardoning. Okay? So those are the 13 attributes of mercy. Okay? And they are 13 because 13 represents boundlessness. And that's the kind of mercy that we need. We need it now. We need to finally see these attributes manifest.
Yeah, it seems like, man, it seems like it's just unabashed the opposite of that right now. You know, it's just like.
Did you ever hear Rabbi Kessin talk about that there was a Chassidish Rebbe? I don't, was it the Ruzhiner? I'm not sure.
Okay.
But Rabbi Kessin was saying that when Mashiach comes, it's going to be the opposite of what happened with Eliyahu and the priests of Baal.
Yeah.
Remember when he had the showdown with the priests of Baal? Was it on Mount Carmel?
Yeah.
So basically, this is in Malachim, right? The Book of Kings. I can't remember where. Okay, so basically, there was one of these. This is in the Northern Kingdom, by the way. So Eliyahu was trying to help the Jews of the Northern Kingdom. They had taken to idolatry, especially Baal worship, unfortunately, at that time. Okay, because of Jezebel, who she married the Jewish king, but she brought her culture's idolatry, and it spread, and she enforced it, and she had priests, and it was a bad situation. Eliyahu challenged her priests to a showdown on Mount Carmel, where he said, "I'm going to bring an offering to my God, and you bring an offering to your God."
Yeah, it's a famous story.
And we'll see whose offering is accepted, and then we'll know who is the true God. Okay, so long story short, Eliyahu's offering was accepted, and the other offering was rejected.
Yeah.
Okay, so and it was a miracle. It was a big miracle because of how did they know it was accepted? Because a pillar of fire came from heaven and consumed Eliyahu's offering, and the other one was rejected. Okay? And also, what the priests of Baal did, that they assumed that he was going to do the same tricks that they do, because they work with like pyrotechnics and stuff like that. They understood chemistry and how to make things, catch on fire. So they poured water. They doused his entire offering with water to make sure it would never catch on fire, because from the chemistry that they were aware of.
Yeah.
They didn't expect a pillar of fire to come down from heaven and consume it. Okay?
It's the same thing with Mitzrayim. It's like the magicians knew all kinds of crazy things. That's why they weren't impressed with a lot of the stuff. With
the magicians, the magicians in Mitzrayim were more accurately described as physicists.
Yeah.
So sophisticated that we wouldn't recognize. If you were sent to ancient Egypt, it's possible you would think you were in the future.
Yeah, I know.
So they didn't have mechanical technology, but they understood that we live in a simulation.
They had spiritual technology.
They had the programming code of the system, of the operating system.
Crazy.
To a certain extent.
Yeah.
Okay? And so when Moshe came and he started doing stuff, our kids can do that too. They know how to. Our kids can program. They can make their own video games. It's fine, right? Yeah. But the only time that they finally understood that they were dealing with something that went beyond their ability, was the plague of lice. Because their science at that time was not sophisticated enough to deal or to manifest or to control any phenomenon smaller than lice. Yeah. Lice is smaller. So that's when they realized that they were out of their league. Okay? So, but with Eliyahu, it was a big miracle. It was a big open miracle. God, just performed something for the people, for the benefit of the people. So Rabbi Kesem saying, in the name of a Rebbe, a Hasidic Rebbe, saying that in the times of Mashiach, it will be the opposite. It would seem like God is helping the priest of Baal and rejecting Eliyahu's. That's how dark it'll be. That's what it looks like now. I mean, it's been looking like that for a while. Yeah. It looked like we got a little break from that with Trump.
Yeah. But I think with Trump, it was more just the. I think it was the setup, not set up like not like we're being set up, but like it was the prequel, I guess you could say. And also I think it was just Asaph doing his tikkun, you know. And now it's just a battle between what Rabbi Kesem would call Tov Shabesov and Rosh Shabesov. But Asaph has to do, because you see, like Asaph could have been, it's Ruchnius and Gashmius. Like you said, what is it? He could have been Mashiach, right?
Yeah, that's what he was supposed to say.
So when Asaph does his tikkun, then I'm not saying Asaph will be Mashiach, but then I think we'll be out of the woods, as it were.
Asaph still has a primary role to play in the entire tikkun, because let's do. All right, I can't say I can fully explain this or articulate this idea, but we can do some math right now. Mm-hmm. Yitzhak, what's the gematria of Yitzhak?
You have 13 minutes, by the way, so you know.
All right, I'll try to. Yeah. So Yitzhak, I believe, is 208. Okay. So let's see, 208 divided by 26. We always do divided by 26 because it's fundamental. So Yitzhak is 26 times 8 equals Yitzhak. Yeah. With the mathematical value of his name. Okay. Yaakov, is, let's see, can you do the gematria of Yaakov?
Oh my God. What is it?
Yud Ayin. Kuf.
Yud is what? 10?
10, yeah. Ayin is 70.
Ayin is 70?
Ayin is 70,
Kuf
so that's 80. Kuf is 100,
okay,
so 180. And Bet is 2.
182.
But sometimes it's spelled with a vav as well. So hold on, let's do 182 divided by 26. Let's see, 7. Okay. Wow. So Yitzhak contained within his being 8 Yud Hey Vav Heves.
Yeah.
Yaakov has 7 Yud Hey Vav. Okay.
So would you say Yitzhak is like above nature kind of thing?
That's partly true, but I'm not going to emphasize that for a second. Now Asaph, quickly, how much is Asaph? Asaph is Ayin, Sin, Vav. Ayin 70, Sin 300, and is it Vav or Bet? I can't remember.
I also don't remember.
Let's look up Asaph really quick.
Hold on. Asaph.
On Wikipedia, very often they have.
One second. Yeah, I'm trying to do that. I mean, he's Esau.
Asaph. Okay, let me see. Hold on. Yaakov and Asaph.
Yeah, Esau. Oops. Esau. He is spelled crud. It doesn't say here.
Are you going?
Here
we
go.
Yeah.
It's spelled. Oh man. What's going on over here? Doesn't show. What's going on? Hold on. In Hebrew. Yeah, it's my goodness, what's going on over here? Oh yeah, Ayin, Sin, Vav. Yeah.
Ayin, Sin, Vav. Okay, so Ayin is 70, Sin is 300, and Vav is 2. So 372, right? Yeah. So let's see. 372. Okay, so 20. So Asa is broken up into a couple of different things. You have. I'm trying to remember how. This is from a Hasidic mimer that's talking about this. That within Asav's name represents a couple of different things. Okay, but within his name, it's broken up into 3 different numbers. The third number, I'm going to get back to you on this. Okay, in Asav's name is 26. So hold on a second. No. It's not. There's nothing impressive yet. I have to show you what that means. Okay, minus 26. Let's see. Okay, so the 346 part of his name, there's, his full name is hold on a second. Damn it. Wish I could remember. 1 second. Okay, so Asav's name contains that one missing Yud Hey Vav Hey. The one that Yaakov didn't get. Yeah. Okay, remember, Yaakov was born holding on to Asav's heel. Yeah. Okay, Asav, that one Yud Hey Vav Hey that Asav contains is related to the world of Tohu. It is the loftiest Yud Hey Vav Hey of all the Yud Hey Vav Heys that we're talking about here, of all the 8 Yud Hey Vav Heys that were contained within Yitzhak. Okay, so Yaakov needs to extract or needs to help Asav elevate or release that Yud Hey Vav Hey, which is being held by the forces of Klipot, which represent the other. Meaning, if you take the gematria of his name, of Asav, okay, and you minus 26 from it, the remainder represents a series of ideas which are related to the Sitra Achra. Okay, and next time we speak, I'm going to get this information from you. It's going to blow your mind. Okay, it just popped into my head. I can't remember how the exact details of it. Okay, so that 26 that Asav has is the most valuable of all. Wow. It's the most precious of all, and it's the most, and it's the most highly valued and protected by the Sitra Achra, because if we get that 26 out of Asav,
it's almost like a Legend of Zelda situation.
I think that God allowed video games into our generation to help us understand, give us the right metaphors, maps, and models, right? Yeah. To understand the concepts of reality. And so, but I'm going to get more of the details of this particular idea because it's fundamental. Yeah. Okay? So Asav is still holding on to the golden ring. Okay, and the reason why that's why he's so attacked by the Sitra Achra. That's why he's so surrounded. Yeah. He's like Darth Vader. Yeah. That, by the way, Star Wars, that idea, like you're the chosen one, right? Remember Obi-Wan? Yeah. And it turned out he was the chosen one, right? Yeah. At the end. Yep. That's Asav.
Crazy. Well, with all that said,
yeah, man,
we're gonna get into Asav next time.
I really wanted to do an analysis of the Billy Idol music video, "Rock the Cradle of Love."
Yeah,
there's so much there, and really and that's, I believe that more than just comedy, that we can extract the sparks out of that music video and a lot of other stuff like that too. And I think that's the point of our conversations. Yeah. Okay, we have to, nobody seems to be trying to.
I know they're not.
You know what I'm saying?
I've been thinking about this a lot. I mean, it's, and I haven't had the language to verbalize what I've been seeing and what I've been thinking about. And I'm glad we're doing this now because it's necessary.
Yeah.
At least for us, if nobody else.
Especially for our 2 listeners, man.
Yeah,
you know?
Exactly. Listen,
Alexander, Denise, this is for you.
We changed that photo on the, what was it, episode, whatever it was, 9 or something like that. The views went up, it worked out. The young,
it went up by like a few, right? You mean with the life, with the life.
The young, yeah. What is life? Young Frankenstein. So people are like, whatever. The more we catch their eye, what do they call it? Glorified clickbait.
Yep.
Yeah. All right.
All right, brother. So that's 13.
Until next time. Hopefully, we've begun to unify things.
Yeah, and I'm gonna not be a bum, and I'm gonna get that ASAP information. We're gonna complete that.
Awesome.
We're gonna complete that equation.
What does ASAP have to do with number 14?
Did I say 14?
No,
or you mean the next episode is gonna be 14?
It's gonna be episode 14.
I didn't say 14, but
okay.
I'll figure out how 14 works into it.
Cool.
Yad. A hand. There's a hand involved there. Okay.
Well, until next time.
All right, man.
All right.
Take care.
You're welcome.